Here's a question I get almost every week right now. Does it make sense to buy or to rent in San Diego in 2026? What's the smarter move? And honestly, it's one of the most important financial questions you can ask yourself right now, especially in a market like San Diego where the numbers are not small. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the real math, the cases where renting actually could be the right call, and cases where buying makes more sense right now so that you can figure out the right move for your specific situation. And I'm going to give you a real answer, you guys, not the answer you'd expect from a realtor. So let's start with monthly cost of buying, because this is where most people get their sticker shock. The median home price in San Diego right now is sitting around $900,000 to $950,000 for a single family home. If you look in North County, you're going to be well over $1 million. If you put 20% down, that's roughly $185,000 to $190,000 and out of pocket up front. Now, there are other loan options, 3.5%, 5%, but there's pros and cons to that. The interest is coming in at around 6.5%. That your principal and interest payment alone comes in close to $4,800, but that's not your full payment. Okay, we have to have PITI. Property taxes in California, so that's the P, roughly 1.1% to 1.2% with no Melrose. If you need to know Melrose, check out video. You're looking at another $825 to $950 a month. Homeowners insurance adds another $150 or so. If the home has HOA, which some do, you could be planning on to pay that, right? So principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So your all-in monthly cost to own a medium-priced home in San Diego right now is realistically somewhere between $6,000 and $6,500 per month. Take a breath. Okay, so let's look at renting. A comparable home, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in a neighborhood like Carlsbad, San Marcos, or Oceanside is renting for somewhere between $3,000 to, I would say, $6,000, depending on how big this house is. Depending on the condition, the location, and here's something most people don't know, San Diego rents actually declined for 6 consecutive months through 2025. The first annual rent decrease this market has seen since 2010. So rents are a little softer right now than they've been in years. I'm seeing more rentals available. So on a purely monthly cash flow basis, renting is way cheaper. Sometimes $2,000, $2,500 a month, and that's real money. So if the monthly cost of renting is lower, why would anybody buy a house? Okay, this is where the conversation gets a little more nuanced, and it's definitely for you and your own personal situation. The first reason people buy houses in California is equity. Every mortgage payment you make is partially paying down your loan balance. Every rent check that you pay goes to the landlord, and that's it. Over a 30-year mortgage is a significant portion that goes to paying down the balance. The second reason is appreciation. San Diego has one of the strongest long-term appreciation track records of any market in the country. Even through the last 2 years, rising interest rates, economic uncertainty, months of price softness, the median price has held up. People who bought in 2018 or 2019 have a ton of equity right now. The third reason is the tax benefit. Mortgage interest and property taxes are generally deductible, which reduces your effective cost of ownership. Now, this does not fully close the gap with renting, but it's real, especially in the first years of mortgage when you're paying mostly interest. And the fourth reason, and this one matters a lot, is rate leverage. So let's say you buy at 6.5% today, and then rates drop to 5.5% or lower in the next year or two, and you can refinance, and your payment goes down. Your equity stays, and renters don't get that option. In fact, they will be chasing the market, trying to get in, and prices will get higher. So if renting is the right move for you, these are some good indications, okay? If you're planning to be in San Diego for less than 3 years, renting is probably smarter. Buying and selling within this short window means you're paying closing costs twice, which I'll make a video about that if I don't have one. That's roughly 2 to 3% on the buy side and could be 5 to 6% on the sell side. That's a lot of ground to make up in 2 to 3 years if the market is not appreciating quickly. If buying would drain your savings and leave you with no financial cushion, renting makes more sense, right? It gives you stability while you rebuild that. Being house poor in a high cost of living place like San Diego, not so fun, although it's not terrible because we have a lot of free things to do here. So if you're still figuring out where in San Diego you actually want to live, Encinitas, Carlsbad, San Diego Metro, Oceanside, San Marcos, renting in a neighborhood first is completely completely reasonable. A lot of people do that for 6 months, right? These communities feel very different, and each little area in the communities also feels really different. So you want to really understand where you're buying and not rush in. So what makes 2026 specifically an interesting time to buy if you're in a position to do it? Well, inventory is up relatively compared to many other years here. There are more homes on the market today than there were a year ago. So you have a little bit more leverage as a home buyer than you did, say, 2022 or 2023. You can maybe get a price reduction, a seller credit, time to do your due diligence. A lot of different things can happen that for the buyers that are beneficial than we haven't seen in a really long time. There is on the move more for the buyers right now who are financially ready. This window matters because the mortgage rates drop meaningfully. That inventory is going to get picked up by all the buyers coming back and that have been waiting. So the people that have a strategy in place, way to go. People sitting on the sidelines waiting for a crash, well, that's probably not going to happen. Prices did go down for 5 months, but then they bounced back up 2.5%. Now we're just flat. So I wouldn't wait for that because you're just going to keep chasing the market. My advice is get into a starter home and then use that equity and build up. Okay, I can walk you through that. So renting is cheaper month by month. Buying is the long-term play and builds wealth. The right answer is entirely up to you and your timeline and what you want your life to look like in 5 years. If you want to sit down and run the real numbers of your situation, what buying would cost you versus renting, and make a long-term plan, I am so happy to have a conversation. No pitch, no pressure, just an honest look at what makes sense for you now. There's a link below you can set up to call me or you can reach out to me directly. And guys, listen, subscribe, please, if you want honest, no spin updates on the San Diego market every week. I'll see you in the next one.